chayang anta kilamatanu-yogo dukkho anariyo ananta sanghito iti te bhikkhave ubho ante anupagamma Majjhima patipada tathagatena abhisambuddha Cakko karani jnana karani upasama
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, teachers. Yeah, Cookie can hear clearly.
Yeah, good evening, teacher.
So this evening we're going to learn about Abhidhamma, right? So in English it means higher doctrine, or in Vietnamese it means vi pháp, right? And I put here 3 references, right? English and Vietnamese, so you can read. Somehow Abhidhamma is something like a little bit boring if you don't really know it, right? And it's quite complicated, but if you learn and you understand, then step by step, right, you will find many things so interesting. So this evening we have 2 teams to present this. Due to some reasons, team 9, right, cannot continue, right? So they will participate in our course as audience, right, or observers, dự thính, right? And now in our class we have only 7 groups, right? 7 teams. So there's 2 teams, right? Team 10 and a new team, a support team, right? So support team has only 2 members, but somehow they work very hard and try to find out so many things to present today. And next week they also help us to learn more about Abhidhamma and its application in daily life. Now the time for presentation. Team 10, right? Are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
So who will manage the slides?
I'm the person who present and control the slides as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, teacher and everyone. Can you see my slide clearly and hear me clearly?
Yeah, it's very clear now.
Okay. Okay, so let me introduce something about myself. First, my name is Nhan from Team 10. And today I'm so happy to be on behalf of our team to present an interesting topic, though I think it's quite deep, informative, and challenging to understand comprehensively for my taste. The topic is about Abhidhamma. Regarding the structure, it is divided into 3 parts in my presentation. Those are introduction, its contents, and several exciting facts about Abhidhamma. First, let me say something about the introduction. What is Abhidhamma? Abhidhamma is one of 3 doctrines belonging to the Tipitaka, which is a great descriptor of the Buddha. Tipitaka consists of 3 doctrines, are Sutta, Vinaya, and Abhidhamma. The name Abhidhamma is the combination of Abhi, which means higher, and Dhamma, as we may know, is teachings. More specifically, while Sutta refers to philosophy of the Buddha's teachings, Vinaya introduces a set of disciplinary precepts for monks and nuns to refrain from actions. Besides, Abhidhamma used a more scholastic language to present a collection of the texts in the Theravāda Buddhist tradition. Let me take a comparison between Abhidhamma with a tree. Sutta is compared with the leaves or flowers of the tree, which also means the beauty of Dhamma. Vinaya is like the root, the foundation of law and regulations. Besides, Abhidhamma is more likely special, distinguished. It is considered as the trunks or branches of the tree. So, in short, Abhidhamma is also the Buddha's teachings, but more than that, it's something like core values, quintessence of the Dhamma. Before mentioning about the contents of Abhidhamma, I will brief some features about context of this doctrine. First, Abhidhamma appeared for the first time in the Third Buddhist Council. It was in the year 250 before Christ. The second point is that the Buddha taught Abhidhamma to the devas in Tavatimsa heaven, including the deity who used to be in his mother in the previous life. The teaching lasted 3 months in the 7 rain retreat since his enlightenment. The last features is that a venerable sir named Rapiputta learned from the Buddhas and taught the concise version to his disciples. The content. Next, let's move on the next part, the contents of the Abhidhamma. As you can see on the screen, there are 7 parts to explain the Abhidhamma, but I just want to introduce their names only, rather than focusing on each of them. Please study further if you wish to by searching the names provided. Following, I would like to mention the main parts with some more details. As it can be seen in the current slide, it is separated into 2 halves. The first half is on the right-hand side of the slide, is the chart of Abhidhamma, and the one on the left side is about the 4 key elements of it, which will be explained a little bit more. So now, please have a look at the diagram on the left. It's obvious that there are 2 kinds of truths are recognized in Abhidhamma. The first one is Paramattha in English, which means ultimate truth, or we can call chân đế or chön đế in Vietnamese. It consists of 4 key elements named Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, and Nibbana. of which only Nibbana is known as unconditioned Dhamma, and the three remaining are called conditioned Dhamma. Now let's move on more specifically about these four elements. In terms of citta, or it can be called consciousness, citta is a very complex subject. It is the awareness or knowing an object. There's an actual fact that in a blink of an eye, billions of consciousness arise and pass away. Although it arises at an extremely high speed, only single consciousness arises at one moment and go through three stages, which are arising, static, and dissolution. Citta can be classified with different areas. First, akusala, which means unwholesome. And the second one is kusala, which means wholesome. The third one is vipaka, is the resultant. And the last, kiriya, which means functional. As for the second point, which means the cetasika, it is known as mental factors. They are defined as aspects of mind that apprehend the quality of an object, and that can be the ability to color the mind. In regard to with rupa, it can be understood the form in English. It comprises the primary four elements, which are earth, water, fire, and wind, and other 24 secondary variations. And the last area is Nibbana. As we may already know, Nibbana is the noble consciousness. Nibbana. So, in short, Abhidharma explains human beings in both psychological and physical aspects, and it shows us what belongs to the outer body and the phenomena of arising and passing away of what belongs to our outer world and detachment from the world. And then Abhidharma focuses on the four areas, which are citta, cetasika, rupa, and nibbana. Now let's move on the second truth of the Abhidharma, which is samutisaka, or in English we can call conventional truth, or tục đế in Vietnamese. In general, conventional truth is all belonging the reality of the world where there is ignorance, greed, hatred. There exists a round of rebirths and death, 3 rounds of mental defilements, of actions, and result of karma. Lastly, I would like to move the last part, which is some exciting about Abhidharma. As you can see, there are 4 facts of it. First, it can be said that Abhidharma is the doctrine with not only extremely deep, subtle, and challenging to comprehend, but also exceedingly vast in scope. Secondly, it took devotees about 15 minutes to listen to whole discourse in one continually sitting. It is equivalent to 3 months in human realm to implement this. Thirdly, Venerable Sariputta taught Abhidharma he learned from the Buddha to 500 new ordained monks who all became arahant by the end of that rain retreat. It seems that there is a difference between Abhidharma and Vipassana, but actually they're very similar because both of them represent the same ultimate goal, which is seeking out penetration of reality and mind purification. So that's all I want to say about this topic. And instead of asking you to raise your question about what I've said, I just would like to prefer to ask you whether you have any comments for my presentation so that I can improve my knowledge about this area. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Team 10. Right. So only one member, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now time for Q&A. So do you have any question for Team 10? So please raise your hands. So the point is here, like, what do you know about Abhidhamma, right? So we have all the teams also wrote essays about this. So let me ask, right? Otherwise, they... Okay, let's ask team 1. Team 1. So do you have any question? Any member of team 1 can answer?
Nhà ăn ngô mấy ăn khoai này lành, không bị đau bụng, không bị đi ỉa.
So team 1, please raise your hand. What did you find out? What did you find out about Abhidhamma? Team 1? No member? So today we don't have no team 1. Oh, really? No one, right? Okay. How about team 2? Team 2? No members of team 2. Rồi, mời cô Lệ Duyên.
Dạ cho con hỏi câu hỏi bằng tiếng Việt được không?
Hỏi tiếng Anh, hỏi tiếng Việt.
Yeah. Can you explain Vipassana and Abhidhamma again more? I don't know.
Okay, let me explain more about these two areas. The two area is different. It's different in the name, but they have also exactly the same purpose. I mean, the purpose, the goal, the optimal goal is we just want to reach to the purification of mind when we apply the Vipassana meditation and know more about the Abhidharma and put it into practice. Yeah, that's all. I hope my explanation is okay for you, to make you satisfied.
Okay. Thank you for your question and answer from Mr. Yang, right? Okay, next person, Hữu Thắng, team 4.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. My question is, you said that the Abhidhamma is the product. The Buddha taught Abhidhamma. Why wasn't Abhidhamma appeared in the first Buddhist council? Is it clear?
Yeah, please.
Okay. From my understanding, I just suppose that because why the Sutta and Vinaya maybe is the background. I mean the background knowledge. Why the Abhidhamma is something like maybe more subtle, and it expressed in more I think less common than the other two, which mean the Sutta and Vinaya. So I think that it is not put the first in the list. Yeah, just from my understanding. So I think I should ask a teacher to explain more clearly and deeply for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. There's many questions, right?
Yeah.
There may be doubt about this point. Okay, anyway, we'll discuss about this later. Many people ask, well, whether Abhidhamma is, was, declared or, taught by the Buddha. Anyway, we will discuss about this later. And yeah, Abhidhamma is something, to many people it's very interesting, but to many people they also feel that was very complicated and quite boring, right? So get a lot of headache. Okay. Anyway, very nice presentation and very nice slides also. And yeah, your slides, the font, right? The font makes me recall me the time when I stayed in Sri Lanka. Then I learned many books, right? The great disciples of the Buddha, right? That's book they use that for, and many pictures as well. Very nice. Thanks for your presentation again.
Thank you.
Right. And now the time for support team, right? Okay. So are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Can you speak louder?
Yes, we are ready. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Can I start?
Yeah. You can see the screen clearly.
Yeah. Good evening, classmates and teacher. I'm very happy that Team 10 already provided a very good and concise presentation. So our job is to further provide you with further information. Our team, support team today, we have myself and our friend Thảo. The outline of our presentation, first is about history of Abhidhamma. Second, we would provide some information on the core concepts presented in Abhidhamma. It includes Panyati, which is conventional truth, Paramatha, which is ultimate realities, that include Nibbana, Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, and after that we will provide a bit information on the mental process, which is very interesting, and that is related to Vipassana meditation somehow. And then glossary and references. So may I ask in our class, how many people are interested in studying mathematics, physics, or chemistry? Can you raise your hands? Just a quick survey, how many people in our class are interested in the topics of the subject of physics, mathematics, and chemistry?
I cannot find the icon hand here, right? We can find the line number one, right? Number one, if yes, like one, right?
Okay. I also cannot see how many hands. Okay, so then I will skip this part. The reason I asked the question is that for those who tend to think logical, and you like formulas, you like something that you like that things can be explained, and things that have a reason behind, then for sure you will love Abhidhamma, because Abhidhamma, in my experience, is more or less a very systemized system that explain the Suttanta, and that we can use Abhidhamma as a tool to apply the teachings of the Buddha in a very concrete manner. And in the tradition of Theravāda Buddhism, Abhidhamma is one of the Tipitaka Pali texts, and it explains dhammas in a very detailed and analytical way. And in the academic point of view, especially Western scholars, I would quote from Bhikkhu Bodhi. He said, Abhidhamma is abstract, highly technical systemization of the Buddhist doctrine, which is simultaneously a philosophy, a psychology, and an ethics, all integrated into the framework of a program for liberation. So the ultimate goal is to attain Nirvana. And how do we go there? What equipments we need? We use Abhidhamma on our journey. And as Team 10 already explained, because his mother, Mahamaya Devi, was reborn in this heaven, and he was there to give the knowledge to her and the gods in this heaven. And he also each day, even though he was teaching in Tavitamsa heaven, he also gave his presence on human world to share with Sariputta what he taught there. And Venerable Sariputta learned from the Buddha this content, and he taught his bhikkhu the doctrine, and in this way, Abhidhamma was believed to be introduced into our world. So talking about the Tavatimsa heaven, I think of giving you the glimpse of the 31 planes of existence in the point of view of Abhidhamma. So important point here is to remember there are three categories. First is the Kamaloka, and in this sentient existence, we have two subcategories: the Dugati, which is the evil states, and the Sugati, the happy states. So the evil states, as we know, that is where sufferings exist, only suffering. And the Sugati, we human beings belong to the Sugati happy state, as well as the other 6 states. And Tavatimsa is one of the Sugati states. And higher than the Kamaloka states, realms, then we have the Rupaloka, which is the realms of form. So in this realm of existence, mostly you could see different jhana realm. So if we attain certain jhana, then our heart, no, our mind corresponds to these planes of existence. And the highest realms is called Arupa Loka. So in these realms, we have the 4 spheres of 4 planes. So sphere of infinite space, Vietnamese name we call Hư không vô biên. Sphere of infinite consciousness, the Vietnamese is Thức vô biên. Sphere of nothingness, Vô sở hữu. And sphere of neither perception nor non-perception, so phi tưởng phi tưởng xứ. So and one more information in the Tavatimsa, the age of the beings there is about 1,000 celestial years. So one celestial day is more or less equal to 100 human years, which is 1,200 human months. So as Team 10, Ms. Nhan said, the Abhidhamma was taught continuously without any pause in Tavatimsa heaven for 3 months. The length of time is equal to three months. And can you imagine 3 months in the Tavatimsa heaven compared to the 1,200 human months? So it's a very short period of time for the beings there. And here is the chart that you can locate where all the Abhidhamma Pitaka belong to in the Tipitaka system. So there are 7 books. Here are the names in Pali, and then in English and in Vietnamese. I would not go into details because I'm not yet in this level to explain to you, but I know that the number 7, Patana, is something that we should really study as a Buddhist. Okay, we should study everything, but at the moment, the other class, which is running parallel with our class, they are studying this Patana, the book of conditions. And it talks about how different conditions, phenomenon, depending on each other. And next, the core content of Abhidhamma This I think Ms. Nhan already mentioned. I just go through quick. So there are two types of dharma that are explained. The green part is the Paramatha, ultimate realities, Chande, and within Paramatha you have Sankatama, the conditioned realities, which mean things are changing, impermanent, and are being conditioned by other dharma. Chandehuvi, and it includes Chitta, Chetasika, and Rupa. And the second part within ultimate realities is Asankata Dhamma, which means unconditioned reality, Chandevovi, and that is Nibbana. That is no changing. It is something not belonging to the world, and there is no cause for this. And the second dhamma within Abhidhamma is Panyati, designation or concept. The Vietnamese name is Chế. It also means that that is something that people give it the name or the meaning so we can communicate with each other. And within this big category, we have two smaller groups, Nama Panyati, which means conceptual names, Atha Panyati, which means conceptual meanings. So coming to the designation or concept, so it often comprises of names and things. Through names, we are able to know the things. And all the names that we call all over the world, we have this concept, Sadapanyati, which is the concept of sound. So whatever we call something, we produce a sound. So that sound is understood by another person, and it is belonging to the concept of sound. And through this sound, we know the name. So it's called Nama Panyati, which is the conceptual names. And the things have to be known through the names, and the things or the meaning are Atha Panyati. The Vietnamese name is Nghĩa Chế Định. So in reality, when we communicate with each other, and what we communicate changes the form or the substance, because it's socially constructed or it's not staying the same forever, then that's why we call all of this Samuti Satcha, conventional truth or tục đế, because it is something that is generally accepted. And the Buddha using conventional truth as a tool to give us teachings, to give guidelines dealing with status, obligation of human society, morality, conditions of success in life, and so on. So even the Buddha needs to rely on these concepts that is generally accepted within human societies to communicate his messages or his teachings. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Thảo to walk through the next content on ultimate realities.
Thank you, Ms. Phu. Good evening. I'm Phương Thảo to tell you about Paramatha, the ultimate reality, chân đế. Paramatha Dhamma is Parama is the immutable. It's the supreme vision. Refer to the supreme vision according to the Siva Purana. Brahma narrated to Narada, Sati, the daughter of Daksa, spoke thus to Siva. our Lord, please explain the activity which enable people to obtain the supreme vision, Parama, and free themselves from worldly bondage. And Atha is the intrinsic nature, and Dharma have two is Sankhata Dhamma, Pháp hữu vi is Jita, Jitasika, and Rupa Dhamma. Sankhata Dhamma is weak from T2. In the ultimate sense, a human being is only a concept. It's composed of mind and matter. Mind consists of consciousness and mental state. And to Asankhata Dhamma is Pháp vô vi, is Nirvana. Nirvana is a stage in which mind and matter become completely instinct. It's the object of fourth state of awakening. We go to the Jita, the consciousness. Tam is the awareness of object. It can be classified into 89 or 121 types. It's through the blank realized type associated with Dhamma, promptitude, jhana, and object. Here's the table. We have Karma Vajra, 54 types. The sense field is sensual pleasure. We have three classified in three groups: akusala, unwholesome, 12 type. Tâm bất thiện is have three types. Is great, and dosamula is heart rate, and mohamula is delusion. And we have ahatuka fluence, have 18 types. Tâm vô nhân is ahatuka meaning condition effect of constant like the root of the tree. And Kama Sopana, beautiful, 24 types. Tâm dục giới tịnh hảo is they are magnificent due to being good quality and producing good effects. It also have three types. And Rupa Vajra, 5 material sphere of absorption, 15 types. Classified into 5 according to the 5 jhana state. Arupa Vajra is 12 types in material sphere of absorption. Basically classified into 4 types according to object. As the 3 types, Kama, Rupa, Arupa is called Loha, the mundane. As high of the mundane is Lokuttara, Supramundane is about 8 to 40 types. It's according to Magga. Magga, by removing mental defilement, is attained Nirvana. So we call Magga, classified into 4. As the Phala fusion, the effect of Magga is also 4. According to Magga, this is called Lokuttara have a twofold. With jhana and with top jhana is about 8 to 14 times, 40 times. And thank you. And, as here the reference for of consciousness, submundane and supramundane. And Jita Sika, mental state. We have 52 mental state. It's called Tâm Sở, Sở hữu tâm. First, it's depending on Jita. When Jita arises, this way. When Jita arises, their mental state that depend on Jita. But when but Chitta arises without some of Chittasika. And when Chitta and Chittasika associate with another, we have 4 characteristics. To arise together, to pass away together, to have equal object, and to have an equal basic. And Chittasika have 3 groups: Anya, Samana, 13 types, Tam Sở, Tọ Tha. It have 2 types. It has 2 types. Anya Samana is universal and particular. Anya Samana is the common to the other. Is Akusala group is unwholesome mental factor. It's 14 types. It's the immoral mental state. And Sobana, beautiful mental factor, has 25 types. Yes. As here for reference about Chittasika. It's 14 immoral mental factor like suffering of human as referring to. And Sobana 25 types for classified in 4 types. Yes. And Rupa for the matter, shock, is strengthened due to the inclusion of adverse physical conditions such as heat, cold. As Hajura, Mahabuddha, the great essential, it has 4 types, and Upadaya Rupa, derivative, derived material phenomena, 24 types. As for essential have 4 types. It's also known as the elements. And 24 types of a group of derivative is have 10 types. It's have 10 times. Yes, and these also have the reference of 25 types. Here's the reference for 25 types. Thank you. And go on, Miss Wu.
Thank you, Miss Tao. I think it's so specific. The content on Chitta and Chittasika, it takes time for us to understand each and every of the Chitta and Chittasika. So you did a good job to list it out for us to refer to. Last but not least, I want to introduce you to a mental process. And this for me is a reference point for Vipassana meditation. So in Pali language, we call it Viti. Viti in Pali means, in fact, it means street. And at the time, in the past, a street in India has houses next to each other continuously. So we can imagine that Chitta, which means consciousness, also line up one next to the other in the whole street, non-stop street. So VT can be understood here as a process, and a mental process is called in Pali Chitta Viti. A material process is called in Pali Rupa Viti. And in the life of ourself in human beings, the two types of process, the mental and the material, run side by side without interruption. And to understand a bit about chitta, the lifespan of a chitta is a very super small fraction of a second. In 1 second, many billion chittas arise and pass away. And this micro moment when a chitta exists is called a chitta khana, or a chitta moment. So you can imagine that, in fact, the Buddha in his meditation, within his power, he did an operation of consciousness of chitta, and he came up with this picture that the chitta keeps arising and passing away in tiny little moment, khana. And each chitta khana has 3 sub-moments. First, upada khana, a rising moment. Second, titi khana, existing moment. And the third one, panga khana, passing away moment. And for a human being in this world, one typical chitta viti that we have, there are 17 chitta khana. And this sounds almost like a formula at the moment that we will look at. But before that, let's understand one more point, that when a chitta viti runs, chitta viti in Vietnamese, it's called lộ trình tâm. So when a chitta viti runs, it depends on one of the 6 bases, and it comes into contact to one of the 6 objects through one of the 6 doors. So the idea here is, let's look at this next table, that we have our senses, and our senses serve as doors to perceive or to cognize the object. Let's say our senses serve as doors for the chitta to cognize the outside objects. And then we have also the bases, so also 6 bases. So correspondingly, eye door, eye base, ear door, ear base, nose door, nose base, tongue door, tongue base, body door, body base, mind door. So the central base here is supposed to be based inside our heart. And then according to the door and the base, then we have the consciousness arise. So we have eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and the mind consciousness. And then the object that the eye perceives, so they are color, form, the ear will perceive sound, nose perceives smell, tongue perceives taste, body perceives touchable objects, and the mind perceives mind objects or dhamma. So this is also a complicated concept that we will study in Abhidhamma. And when we do Vipassana meditation, this concept is very useful. So now coming to the last point of a chitta viti with the 17 chitta khana. Why 17? Let's say when the Buddha did the operation of the mind, he figured it out that it's 17. And we see that there are two sides, passive signs and active signs. So when we start to perceive one object, let's say eye object, when we see something, in a very small fraction of time, one eye chitta viti runs 17 chittas. So we have, you can see the number 1, 2, 3 is the Pavanga chitta, and Vietnamese name is called Tam Hữu Phan. So these 3 chittas, they cannot be aware of the presence object. And in fact, its object or what it perceives is the object of previous death in the previous life. It means that when we die in the last life, we have this chitta beginning our life now. And it always runs in on the chitta viti. And the job is, in fact, it's not really a job, but it does the work to vibrate and to arrest what is left from the previous life. And then number 4 is one of the 5 sense door. Will try to get the attention. So it's called Pancha Vadra Vajana. It attains the consciousness to the present object that the eye will see. And number 5 is the sense door consciousness. So the eye consciousness starts to arise. Number 6, receiving the object. Number 7, investigate the object. Number 8, making a determination that will lead to number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. These are called Javana, tâm động lực. So these 7 chittas here in purple or pink color, they are the chittas that really truly experience the object. And it is said in Abhidhamma that in this process of these 7 chittas, we produces our karma. So if we see an object and we like this object, and we are because of this liking, we become craving and we do something bad. So, or we do something good. So it's included in this process of these 7 javanas. But try to understand that this 117 chittas, it runs very quick. So there are billions of this process going on. We are just zoomed into a very micro point of time. And number 16 and number 17, they are called Tadaramana chittas. In fact, they just register the consciousness before to end one process of chitta viti. So the main message to remember here is the active side, the 7 impulsion or javana, is where we can train ourselves to produce the wholesome and not to produce unwholesome actions. So That is the end of our content. Here are the Pali, English, and Vietnamese words in our presentation. Here is the reference, the charts you can find in this website. There are many interesting and comprehensive charts. So thank you for your listening and for giving us the chance to review our knowledge about Abhidharma.
Thanks for the presence of support team, right? Somehow you share so many formative slides, right? Yeah, here actually, how to say, to share with you some knowledge about Abhidharma, right? And we don't really go deep in Abhidharma, and so there are many details, right? For example, Chitta, right? Consciousness, right? So there are 89 or 121, right? Consciousness. Or about Rupa, 28 matters, right? Somehow like I think it's difficult, right, to raise question. But anyway, if you have any questions for for the presentation, please raise your hands. Okay, so let's see. Team 7, do you have any questions? Or there's nothing, you don't know anything about Abhidharma, so you have no question? Team 7? How about other teams? How about other members? No question. Anyway, Abhidharma is somehow like difficult. And somehow I share with you 3 books, but there's too many pages, right? So you can't read all of these in a short time, and somehow you don't really understand some parts, so it's maybe makes you confused, right? It is so complete for me, right? Yeah, those who are good at math, right? Yeah, we'll find that the Abhidharma is quite easy. And but like if you are not good at math and really interesting in math or physics or chemical, something like that, right? So you find something is quite strange in Abhidharma. So in my case, when I learn Abhidharma, I have to learn something, not explanation or some illustrations like this. I have to learn Somanasa Sakatang Ditthigata Sambhajutang Asankarikang Ekang. Somanasa Sakatang Ditthigata Sambhajutang Sasankarikang Ekang. Blah blah blah, something like that, right? And it took me around 2 months, 3 months, and I understand. I understood nothing, right? And many monks and other classmates, they recite Pali so smooth and fluently, and they can count the number of chitta, cetasika, and rupas quickly, and I don't know, but step by step, when I understand the theories and the definitions of minds and mental contents and about the matters or materials, so then step by step we can understand. Okay, somehow I think I share with you something, then you might find some benefit or something interesting, then have some encouragement to learn Abhidharma. Okay. Actually, there's 2 points, right? First, whether Abhidharma is read by the Buddha, right? So especially Western scholars and Western monks, they they also, many of them also, don't support for Abhidhamma, and they declare that, right? Abhidhamma is not the teachings of the Buddha. And but some others people also said like Abhidhamma is involved in Dhamma. So the first Buddhist council, somehow we have the information that like all the monks recite about Vinaya and Dhamma. So later Dhamma, was divided into two parts, Suttanta and Abhidhamma. And the original of Abhidhamma, the story where the Buddha preached Abhidhamma is quite unconvincible to many people nowadays. But like somehow when we learn Abhidhamma and we practice Vipassana, we also find many benefits. And also when we learn Sutta, we also find benefits. The other things like there are many concepts and many information we learn in Suttanta, in discourses of the Buddha. So but nowadays many ideas, many people also share that this is the teaching of the Buddha, that's the teaching of the Buddha, and they preach Dhamma by this way, by other ways. But somehow like we may find it confused, right? Confused. So when we learn Abhidhamma, we know step by step, we know about Nama, the mind, Rupa, the matter, and we also learn, the process of the mind, the VT also. We have just learned about it, and how the mind, right? How in Vietnamese, India Vietnamese, we have one saying, tâm nào thì bắt cảnh đó, right? So when we learn Abhidhamma, we will understand this deeper, right? If your mind have no root about unwholesome things, right? So even outside there's something happen, unwholesome, something evil, but your mind is very pure, right? And you can keep your mind's balance, right? Then you have a real happiness, inside happiness, right? And also when, for example, when we practice meditation, we try to improve ourselves. Maybe for the first step, we just think that, right, keep our mind calm, right, and to have a happier life. But if you spend more time for meditation and you want to practice deeper, then many things you cannot understand, right? And you may attend, experience some things, and if you don't have a deep knowledge, you think that you attend something, and sometimes maybe you declare that you are a sane person already, maybe Sotapanna or something. But when you in the case that you learn Abhidhamma deeply, right? And when you practice also about in Satipatthana, we have 4 sections, 4 areas to practice the body, the sensation, the mind, and the mind contents, the content of the mind. But about body, somehow okay, sensations okay, but then when you have to work with mind and the content of the mind, you will have some troubles. You don't really understand Abhidhamma, and you cannot analyze what happened. For example, when you're angry, and you just know that angry, but deeper, you have to find many others things, not only anger, but other things inside. So step by step you will know. And and also it's combined with other practice. So next I think next class, right, you have more time to read some books. I share with you some books in Vietnamese, so hope that you can read, you understand more, and then we will discuss more, right? Otherwise Abhidhamma makes you feel so confused, right? Right? Okay. So maybe this evening we close our class early, right? This is the first time. So you have any question or you have something to learn, right? Please. So Trần Phương, right? Team 7. Do you have any idea? Can you hear me? Okay, somehow like our class is, parallel with other class. The class of Venerable Sarana, right, is teaching about the origin. Hương, right?
Yes, teacher, can I have a question?
Yes, please.
How should we as lay Buddhists or lay people, how should we study Abhidhamma? How long should we invest the time? Is it the right subject for us who are so busy? Can you give some orientation how we should approach to this subject?
How to say, as lay people, not many people, devoted in Abhidhamma. So if you really want to to learn Abhidhamma, you can read some other books, right? Then step by step you learn some. Actually, there's two, right? One part is like theory, and this part is for application, right? So you read some application of Abhidhamma, and piece by piece, right, you find more interesting in Abhidhamma. And to approach Abhidhamma somehow, I so need guidance from a teacher, right? Because there's too many Pali terms in Abhidhamma, and it takes time, to be familiar with those. And so there are some books I share with you, right? You can read. And for example, the book, let me show you. A manual of Abhidhamma, right? So there's 9 chapters, right? So you can read you can read chapter 9, right? And chapter 9 first, because you can find something interesting, and you can know more about jhanas, right? Rupa jhanas, arupa jhanas, and something like different kinds of purity, so you may know. And some sand people, sand persons, like individuals, right? Page 472. So you can read and you find more. And 475 part of purification, also useful for your practice. And attainments, page 484, also good for you. And page 485, aspiration, also good. So anyhow, you spend time for chapter 9, and then you learn, and you be familiar with this, and then later, right, then you can approach Abhidhamma. So the books I share with you, there's not many explanation in detail, fundamental of Abhidhamma. So it's some kind of, you know, a summary, right? So it's a little bit difficult for you to approach. There are some Vietnamese translated texts from anh Pháp Triều, right? You can read some books from him. Also good. He's very good at Abhidhamma. He has some very private class, Abhidhamma class for some people. So you can contact him, and then you can ask him about that class. He is now in America, one of my friends. So his knowledge about Abhidhamma is very deep. And you can read some books. The one books I share with you. So Abhidhamma in Daily Life, right? Is composed by Ashincha Janakabivansa. It's very good book. Yes, there's many explanation. It's useful for daily life, so you can read. Because Abhidhamma, you know, has 7 books, right? If you devoted into Abhidhamma and spend time for it, so it takes you years, not months, right? So anyway, Sutanta somehow is easier, right? Because you can read and you understand. But Abhidhamma is somehow is a little bit complicated for common people. But in your case, I suggest you read the books I share with you all. So around 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around 5 books, both in English and Vietnamese. Then you read all of them, then you can understand, especially a manual of Abhidhamma. And there is another books also. I don't have here. And there are some commentaries of Abhidhamma also. It's very interesting, right? Like a human person, human beings, right? How many kind of minds, right? And Cetasika arise in him. And about devas, also how many kinds of minds, right, arise in him. And Brahma also, and some lower worlds, right? 4 lower worlds, how many kinds of minds. And you understand step by step the points here I want to share with you all that, right? It's better to speak in Vietnamese, right? Mình học vi diệu pháp thì mình tập trung vào 4 cái giờ là chân đế thôi. Để tôi chiếu cái slide lên chia sẻ tí xíu. Rồi mọi người thấy cái rõ cái slide bên này chưa? Đây. Thì Paramatha về chân đế là gì? Cái sự thật đó, dù mình có có nói như thế nào đi nữa, dù mình có muốn diễn giải nó như thế nào nữa, nó là cái sự thật hiện hữu tự nhiên, trong tự nhiên, bản chất thực sự của nó, mà không phải là qua cái gì, qua cái nhìn, cái thấy, hay là cái suy nghĩ của người bình thường. Đó là cái sự thật. Rồi còn cái chế định thì là gì? Cái khái niệm do con người đặt tên và con người định nghĩa về cái bản chất của nó để dùng để giao tiếp, để mà gì tương tác với nhau thì phải cần cái Panyati. Còn cái Paramatha là cái sự thật nó diễn ra như vậy. Thì 4 cái chân đế, có 4 cái chân đế, 4 cái sự thật tối thượng ở đây là gì? Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, Nibbana. Thì tiếng Anh nó tương tự ha, consciousness là tâm ha, mental state là tâm sở, matter hay là materials material là sắc pháp, Nibbana thì đây tại vì tiếng Anh thì đôi khi nhiều chỗ người ta không có đánh dấu, cho nên tôi cũng đi không có dấu. Nibbana là niết bàn. Thì ở đây có gọi là pháp hữu vi và pháp vô vi nha. Nếu mà quý vị nó không quen thì hiểu gì? Hữu vi là nó vẫn còn nằm trong nha, trong cái gì? Cái lĩnh vực của ba cái này nha, là hữu vi. Còn cái pháp mà vô vi là cái pháp gì? Vượt ra khỏi Nama và Rupa, vượt ra khỏi cả ba cái này. Thì pháp vô vi, vô vi, hữu vi. Thì về tâm thì có 89 loại tâm. Người phàm phu tục tử thì sống cái cõi dục, trong cái cõi dục thường thì có 54 loại tâm. Rồi bắt đầu khi có những cái tâm chứng được thiền hữu sắc thì có thêm 15 loại tâm. Rồi từ chứng thiền vô sắc thì có thêm 12 loại nữa. Rồi khi chứng đạo quả của Tu Đà Hòa, Tư Đà Hàm, A Na Hàm và Thánh La Hán 4 đạo quả là 8. Mà những cái vị đó nếu mà có chứng chứng thiền định thì nó sẽ nhân lên cho 5 nữa, là 8 nhân 5 là 40. Thì nếu tính theo như vậy thì mình sẽ có 121. Còn nếu mà tính không có tính tâm thiền vào thì nó chỉ có gì là 89 thôi. Thì cái người mà vẫn còn trong luân hồi, chúng sinh vẫn còn trong luân hồi thì có 81 cái loại tâm. Thì sau này chúng ta học, ví dụ như học một cái vị Tu Đà Hoàng thì có bao nhiêu loại tâm. Một cái người bình thường sinh ra đầy đủ ngũ căn, không có bị gì hết thì có bao nhiêu loại tâm. Rồi động vật thì có bao nhiêu tâm. Rồi những cái cõi ngạ quỷ hay là gì đó những cái con sinh, những cái chúng sinh ở những cái cõi thấp thì có bao nhiêu loại tâm. Rồi cõi thiền thì có bao nhiêu cõi. Bumi hồi nãy chúng ta có thấy qua đó, có bao nhiêu cõi. Rồi cõi chư thiên thì có bao nhiêu cõi, có những loại tâm nào, rồi họ có những cái đặc điểm gì đó. Thì khi mình học qua như vậy thì mình sẽ có một cái thế giới quan, mình sẽ tư duy khác, và mình nhìn vào vật chất, nhìn vào mọi thứ xung quanh, nhìn vào con người, thì bắt đầu mình sẽ từ từ mình sẽ quen, cái tâm mình sẽ quen nhìn cái vấn đề là không còn cái bản ngã đó. Tập làm quen thôi chứ cái bản ngã vẫn còn đó ha, cái sự ngã mạn vẫn còn đó, vô minh nó vẫn còn đó, thì mình cũng chưa hẳn là mình nhìn được cái bản chất thực sự đâu. Nhưng mà cái tâm mình sẽ quen dần. Thì khi mình hành thiền mình hành thiền định, thiền tuệ thì cái trí tuệ mình nó cục sự nó sẽ sắc bén hơn. Cái việc phân tích tâm, nhận biết tâm, nhận biết sắc pháp, nhận biết những cái thực hành mình biết những cái thực hành nó có nó hệ thống lại đầy đủ hết. Thì cái lúc học thì mình là giống như là cái người sơ cơ mới học, mình thấy cái số nó nhiều, nó cái này cái kia, nhưng mà dù như mình có một cái bộ máy hoàn hảo một cái công cụ hoàn hảo, khi mà cái kiến thức đầy đủ, cái sự hiểu biết mình đầy đủ, mình ứng dụng nó rất là tốt, nó mang lại rất cực kỳ nhiều lợi ích. Nhưng mà để đạt được cái khả năng hiểu và sử dụng nó thì mình phải cần có thời gian học, cần thời gian học, cần thời gian thực hành. Giống như nói tiếng Anh mà nghe lưu loát giỏi này nọ thì là cái thành tựu khúc cuối. Nhưng mà cái lúc học đọc sai, rồi quên lên quên xuống, rồi thế này kia, vất vả gian nan. Thì tương tự học Abhidhamma cũng vậy. Rồi bắt đầu học Abhidhamma nhiều rồi thì mình sẽ từ từ mình sẽ nhìn cái vấn đề khác. Mình sẽ hiểu được là những người này do cái nghiệp gì, cái loại gì mà người ta có những cái biểu hiện như vậy. Rồi cái đó là mình nhìn ở ngoài thôi, còn nhìn bản thân mình từ từ mình cũng sẽ biết là gì. Mình sinh ra tại thời điểm như vậy, mình có những cái biểu hiện như vậy, có những cái thành tựu như vậy, có những cái đặc điểm như vậy, có cái xu hướng làm những cái chuyện như vậy là do cái gì. Từ đó mình sẽ từ từ mình sẽ hiểu về bản thân mình hơn. Chứ không còn lý thuyết là gì, nghe giảng là hiểu toàn bộ các lĩnh vực về Nama và Rupa, hiểu trọn vẹn, thì sẽ chứng tới gì niết bàn gì ví dụ vậy thì nghe nó chung chung quá nha. Nhưng mà tới khi mình học vi diệu pháp, mình sẽ từ từ bản thân mình sẽ giải thích được, giải thích được là mình như thế nào. Rồi mình sẽ phù hợp với cái thể loại hành thiền gì tự mình sẽ biết. Còn không học thì mình chỉ trông chờ vào người khác. Thì học với diệu pháp cũng giống như là học về cái kỹ thuật của về một cái sản phẩm gì đó. Nếu mà mình chỉ dùng thôi thì biết dùng thôi, không có cần phải biết cấu tạo nó như thế nào, rồi chế tạo nó như thế nào, phân tích tháo ráp nó như thế nào, không cần. Ví dụ như sử dụng máy giặt hay là tivi vậy đó, chỉ bấm nút thôi. Máy tính thì chỉ cần mở lên đánh máy thôi. Nhưng mà về cái chuyện học mà phải gì cài phần mềm, rồi cài đặt máy tính, rồi tháo ráp phần cứng này là mình không có cần học. Thì đúng, một số vị thì không có, nếu mà mình đang ở giai đoạn mình chỉ cần ứng dụng thôi thì mình cứ thực hành thôi. Nhưng mà bắt đầu đến giai đoạn nào đó thì mình phải cần học những cái gì, những cái mặt về kỹ thuật những cái mặt về gọi là lý thuyết nó sâu hơn để nó giải thích được thì mình học. Và thực sự Abhidhamma không có phải dành cho những cái người bình thường, nhất là những người bình thường mà không có cái tâm, không có cái xu hướng hay là phân tích sắc bén có những cái gì đó, cái khả năng về mình nhìn ở góc độ người thường là cái khả năng về tư duy về toán học mà hình phẳng với lại đa chiều, ví dụ như vậy. Những ai mà có cái tư duy về toán học mà cao cấp ví dụ vậy thì đa chiều học Abhidhamma thấy có thể hiểu và hình dung được, cảm nhận được. Còn cái người bình thường đọc thấy số không mà thấy chóng mặt này. Rồi học Abhidhamma thì mình sẽ hiểu rõ hơn cái việc mà diệt trừ 10 cái kiết sử hay là 10 cái trói buộc, và cái chứng ngộ nó như thế nào mình giải thích được. Ví dụ như về cái thân kiến cái định kiến về cái thân kiến mình như thế nào, về cái gọi là một cái cơ thể có thân có tâm một cái linh hồn kiểu như vậy, thì mình học vào từ từ khi mình thực hành mình sẽ thấy rõ được gì Nama và Rupa nó như thế nào nó sẽ mình sẽ ứng dụng vào thiền được. Rồi những cái nghi ngờ về Đức Phật về cái phẩm chất của những cái vị giải thoát như vậy thì mình học Abhidhamma từ từ mình sẽ thấy. Một người bình thường không nào thể thấy được những cái điều đó đâu, và không thể nào chia sẻ được những cái điều đó. Ví dụ như 17 cái chập tâm của một con người nó sinh diệt chỉ trong một cái búng tay, chưa tới 1 giây nữa mà nó sinh diệt đâu mà 5-6 tỷ lần 5-6 tỷ lần, cái tốc độ nó khủng khiếp. Thì làm sao mà thấy được những cái đó. Rồi cái tốc độ sinh diệt của Rupa, của sắc 28 cái loại sắc vật chất thì nó sinh lên và nó diệt đi như thế nào, nó tổ hợp, nó sinh khởi như thế nào, nó tương tác, nó tương hỗ với tâm như thế nào đó. Là 3 cái bạn này nè, Chitta, Cetasika, Rupa, 3 bạn này tổ hợp tương tác như thế nào để từ từ mình nhìn mình phân tích về được cái bản thân mình sẽ thấy rõ được gì danh sắc ở chính bản thân mình và cái đầu óc mình nó sắc bén hơn và nhanh nhạy. Nhưng mà học với diệu pháp nó sẽ có một cái tác dụng phụ rất là nguy hiểm nha quý vị. Đó, cái này nói trước. Học mà khi bắt đầu đam mê rồi thì cái bản ngã nó sẽ lớn hơn. Bản ngã nó lớn và đôi khi là vi tế, nhưng mà đôi khi là thô. Tại vì thấy nhiều quá, biết nhiều quá, thấy người khác giảng pháp sơ hở nhiều quá, nói chuyện giảng pháp đồ sơ hở rồi thiếu logic này nọ, dễ sinh tâm ngã mạn, chinh tâm có người khác. Cũng có là cái nguy hiểm. Rồi đôi khi quên những cái thực hành căn bản là gì? Hành thiền. Hành thiền đó. Tâm nó phân tích, nó mạnh, nó chạy dữ quá, ngồi yên thiền không được cũng sẽ có một số cái tác dụng phụ như vậy. Cho nên học thì rất là tốt, nhưng mà học với trên cái tinh thần là gì, có cái có cái nền tảng tốt về để giữ giới, về hành thiền, định, thiền tuệ thì nó sẽ bổ sung. Những bạn nào muốn dành thời gian học Abhidhamma, mà muốn thực hành, học để áp dụng và thực hành mà lâu dài, thì mình đừng có xác định là học bao lâu, cứ học mỗi chút nó thấm, mỗi chút nó thấm. Tốt nhất là nên học với một cái vị thầy cư sĩ hay là xuất gia cũng được, có kinh nghiệm, vì đó sẽ chỉ dạy cho mình từ từ. Thường là những cái vị giỏi về Abhidhamma, cái kiến thức họ nhiều và khủng khiếp, cái tốc độ đầu não tư duy họ cực kỳ nhanh thì thì cũng phải chuẩn bị tinh thần ha. Và những cái vị mà giỏi Abhidhamma, mấy cái vị đó làm việc kinh khủng lắm, tư duy cũng kinh khủng mà làm việc cũng kinh khủng. Thường giỏi Abhidhamma thì cũng giỏi Pali thì sẽ học được nhiều điều những cái vị như vậy. Ngày xưa lúc tôi học ở bên Miến thì có sư Pháp Thiện, sư Pháp Thiện cực kỳ giỏi về Abhidhamma. Sư cũng rất là giỏi về Pali. Sư đọc được chú giải bằng Pali đó, sư làm luận văn và nghiên cứu như vậy. Tính sư cũng rất là mạnh mẽ ý chí trong cái việc học hành. Cư sĩ thì có anh Pháp Triều anh cũng rất là giỏi về Abhidhamma. Rồi nhiều lắm, có sư cô Tâm Tâm cũng dạy vi diệu pháp, như tính ra cũng cả hơn 20 năm nay rồi. Rồi có sư Tiện Hảo cũng rất là giỏi Abhidhamma, nhưng mà chưa thấy sư dạy ở Việt Nam, sư đang dạy kinh thôi. Thì nhân duyên nào như nào đó thì quý vị học, hay là hiện giờ có sư Sarana đang dạy cũng có lớp một phần của Abhidhamma đó, là gì đó dạy về Paticca Samuppada đó. Là the law of causal relations, the law of dependence. Đó thì mình cũng có thể coi lại những clip của sư dạy. Mình cứ học từ từ ha. Rồi, okay, so that's all for this evening, right? And this is the last class before that, right? So we will have around 2-3 weeks, free, right? Free, you will be free from me around 2 or 3 weeks, and then, right? And after that, right, on 15 or 13, right, February, so we will start the class again, right? Okay, so good night, goodbye, and see you later. So be happy.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you, teacher. See you later. Thank you, Dhamma friends. See you later.
Welcome. Good night.
Good night, teacher.